Good afternoon, everyone. It is currently 1 o'clock p.m. and we're going to start our regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Champaign County with the call to order. The roll call.
Chairman Lewis.
Present.
Vice Chair Rose.
Here.
Commissioner Obachowski. Here. Commissioner Henry.
Here.
Commissioner Adair.
Here.
Commissioner Turnbull. Commissioner Chenoweth.
Next, I would like to entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Then roll call.
Chairman Lewis.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose.
Yes.
Commissioner Obachowski. Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Adair.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is public comment on the agenda item only. Are there any public comments on the agenda items? Being none, I would like to entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of November 15th, 2018.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Lewis.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose.
Yes.
Commissioner Obachowski.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Adair.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is old business, resolution 2018-34, approval of the University of Illinois move to work contract extension. At our last meeting, there was some questions, an issue that we asked U of I to come back with, so they don't have to go through that whole presentation, just the issues that we asked you to expound on. Okay.
And thank you. We shared with the director, and I think he circulated it to the board, a summary of descriptions of other university housing research associated with the MTW program. I hope and trust everybody received that. And that was to answer a specific question that came from the board about that. And I think in summary, that gives you a good idea of what some of the other MTW housing authorities, especially say Charlotte, that had the university research project affiliated with their MTW program, the kind of scope of work and also the scope of resources in terms of budget affiliated with those university studies. And I think our study aligns closely with those. I would point out our study has a comparison group and some of the other studies don't, and that's one difference, and we think that makes it a more rigorous study. But I'm glad to answer any other questions about that the board might have, or try to shed any other light on that. But we shared that, and hopefully that answers that question.
Do we have any questions or concern from any of the commissioners?
I just have a comment. So thanks to the commissioners who gave us some additional time to look at the contract. I also want to thank David and his team for agreeing to send out the packets more in advance, because it just gives us more time to look over information. So I think going forward, I'll probably have enough time so I can get some answers to my questions. Cindy responded with some comparables. I think that went out to the board. And I sent a series of questions, most of which I think sit under the realm of what happens to folks who are terminated and their case closed. So when I looked over the contract and scope of work, I think you included that in your next year. And so I would just ask if David could forward you the specific questions, or
Yeah,
if you could do that, that gives a sense of some of the pieces that we have. And then I would just encourage the board going forward that it's a real opportunity to have U of I researchers supporting our data gathering and analysis process. And so as we have questions, we should think about how do we weave, some of that into, questions that might be answered in your normal course of, assessing the Moving to Work program. And I appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from any of the other commissioners?
Mine was really just a comment as well. I thought the additional information and the sort of the summary or the synthesis of the comparables that you were able to provide since our last meeting was extremely helpful in being able to look at the contract moving forward with some additional context. So I appreciate everybody who took the time and effort to put that together. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for getting the package together. It did me some good, but I had surgery on Tuesday. Emergency surgery, but I came anyway because I wanted to be a part of it. But it was very helpful to get stuff early when it's not emergencies. Yes, sir.
Well, since it came up twice, I just want to make sure the public know that in terms of getting our board packets out, we had agreed and talked about it's important to get it out faster. So we set a timeline, and all the staff agreed to that timeline. Now, if something come out that's an emergency, it may come out a little slower in terms of that item, but our goal is to ensure we get our packets out in a timely manner so you guys can have thorough time to review. So I appreciate those comments.
And sometimes we have a resolution on the floor and need a motion.
I'll move resolution 2018-34, approval of UI MTW contract extension. Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Obachowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Adair,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull,
Yes.
Commissioner Chenoweth.
Yes?
Next, we have resolution 2018-35, approval of 2019 insurance renewable with AHRMA.
This resolution would be just to approve continuing our coverage for property and liability with ARMA. I just want to make a note that in the language, the third paragraph, the amount should read 145,089, which is the amount that's in the table below. So that is the correct amount. We just had an adjustment in the table that wasn't reflected up in that. So resolution should reflect that change.
Anybody have any questions or concerns? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Roll call.
Chairman Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Obachowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Adair,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull,
Yes.
Commissioner Chenoweth.
Yes?
Next is resolution 2018-36, approval to write off uncollectible tenant accounts.
Occasionally, we will bring this resolution before you to, as an accounting function, move amounts from our current TAR listing so that they're written off to a collection loss account. We still pursue collections, but it's mainly just an accounting function, so that those amounts that are aged 45 days and older are going to a collection account.
Just so the commissioners know that HUD has a policy, and I believe we're still required with that. Half the money we collect, if we don't have evidence to show that we use it for collection purposes, we have to share with HUD once we get it back. So that collection money is reported as we return, and sometimes half of it is given back to HUD.
You have any questions? I'd like to entertain a motion.
Make a motion we approve resolution 2018-36, approval to write off uncollectible tenant accounts.
Roll call.
Chairman Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Obachowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Adair,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull,
Yes.
Commissioner Chenoweth.
Yes?
Next is resolution 2018-37, approval to pay out accumulated university leave.
The Housing Authority is a policy where our universal leave we can accrue is capped at 480 hours, so you can't carry over anything in the next year, so it has to be used. We do have a number of employees, 5 employees, who are over that amount, and basically because of a lot of the stuff that we have going on and creating it would create an excess burden on other staff if they just took that leave. We were considering we would bring it before you for approval to pay out anything that's just over that 480 hours to that staff, so the amount would not exceed $8,500.
And so most of those staff members, well, a number of those staff members are more senior staff who have more time, and you know, most of that money that accumulated probably for John, and with all the developments that we're working on, he was needed along with the move, relocation, and closing of RAD. He was very instrumental in all that. So we had some early discussions around that. I know he wished he could have took the time, but unfortunately it was really challenging. So he decided to stay on and make sure that we can get where we need to go in terms of our developments.
And this one-time payout does not put us in the position where we have that accumulated leave in the future.
Well, regardless if we pay it out or not, it's a liability on the housing authority books. But we like to get it out the way so it won't accumulate and grow and grow and grow. And so by law, we're required to pay it out at the end of somebody's tenure with the agency. But you know, we want to make sure we clean up our books and keep our books right, so we get it out the way. We don't want to have someone with 800 or 900 hours of time. And then also you got to remember, as much as you allow the time to accumulate, when somebody started here, they may have started at $20 an hour. When they leave, they may leave at $50 an hour. We pay them out at the amount they leave with. Okay. And so making sure that it's cleaned up, it stops that from growing and compounding over the years. And it's every housing authority I've been at, we went through the same type, and most businesses probably do the same thing.
Do we have any questions from any of the commissioners?
Just a quick question. So essentially these employees got over the cap because it was put in place after they went over? It was unclear to me, why did they accumulate leave beyond a cap?
Well, you can accumulate leave beyond the cap. It's just our cap is 480. You have to be at 480 hours at the end of the year.
Okay. So
you can go over that amount. You can accumulate during the year. Some people will be right at 480 into the year, and then they'll build up time that exceeds that cap. It's just the policy states that you have to be at 480 or below at the end of the year.
Okay, because typically my understanding is if you're capped, you don't earn beyond. Once you hit the cap, you don't earn. But you're saying that essentially you can continue to earn, which means it's not a one-time payout. Anytime someone goes over 480, we'll have this liability on the books, correct?
The liability will grow beyond that, but at the end of the year, we're going to make sure that that's the cap of the liability. Yep.
So that's what he means by the cap, is that our goal as an organization internally is not to allow that liability to go above that. So that's why at the end of the year, this payout's done for us.
Oh, so would we anticipate a payout at the end of each year for anyone who is over 480?
In previous years, we've either been able to enforce it because it didn't create as much of a burden on other employees or on projects.
Okay.
So last year was the first year we got in a number of years where we did have this. It was about $12,000. Okay. But the goal is to not have that be a recurring.
So do you ask people to take leave or use it or lose it? Is that, I mean, I've seen different models. You use it or lose it is typically the model. I haven't seen that when there's a cap, you can just go over and then get paid out. So that's my concern with this.
We have done that in some previous years. Either you use it or lose it, and people have got down to that amount. But because they've been in the situation where they've kind of been handcuffed to not be able to take it, it's put them in a situation that we felt was maybe unfair for them to just lose it when they didn't have the opportunity to take it.
I see. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think almost every agency will be confronted with a situation where your staff is essential, and as you approach the end of the year, because they're working on special projects, that they the agency cannot afford to let them utilize their vacation time, which would prevent the caps. So this policy, it really does not work in the best interest of the individual, but works in the best interest of the agency, because you cannot afford to let them take their vacation time and not exceed the caps. So because of, I forgot, when you work for the state, there's a
mandatory
term that when somebody work, you have to compensate them.
Well, one thing, you know, me coming into the organization,
Fair Employment Act.
Me coming to the organization in April, I can understand the need that Matt talked about. You know, we had a situation where we didn't have a permanent executive director for a while going through a number of developments, RAD closings, and dealing with the MTW. We had a short staff. There's been a lot of turnover in the prior years. And so it was really essential. And as he said before, our goal is not to have that happen. But you know, I'm thankful that the staff that decided to take the organization's benefit and our citizens' benefit ahead of their personal benefits. We didn't make them stay. They chose to stay and help to benefit the organization in the right way. And so, you know, to penalize them because our organization had a downturn would be unfortunate, in my opinion.
That act I was talking about is called the Fair Employment Standard Act. Do we have any other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
Yeah. You gotta make a motion.
Need a motion.
I'll move resolution 2018-37, approval to pay out accumulated universal leave.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Obachowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Adair,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull,
Yes.
Commissioner Chenoweth.
Yes.
Next is resolution 2018-38, authorization of signatory for Haven's closing.
This is a situation that's occurring because of timing. Our goal was to try to have the Haven on Marketplace close earlier. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to close early because of so many moving parts related to it. I'll be out of the country during the closing, and so we want to add John Daly as our signatory to represent us on my behalf, along with our attorneys that will be there to supervise everything. And so we bring that before the board today so we can move forward with that project, and me being away for a short time won't interfere with the business of the organization.
Any questions? Need a motion?
Make a motion that we approve resolution 2018-38, authorization for signatory for Haven closing.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Obachowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Adair,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull,
Yes.
Commissioner Chenoweth.
Yes.
Next, we have our Chief Executive Officer report.
Well, first I want to make sure the board clearly understands that, you know, we all want to make sure that we provide the quality information and that information on a timely manner, and ensure that, you know, the public's and our integrity is ensured with the public. This meeting, since it's the last meeting of the year, we traditionally don't have every leadership team member report out, and so we're focusing on, I'm going to give a brief report. We provided a detailed background as we do every month for the board, and, you know, if they had any questions, some of them reached out to us, but if they have any particular questions that one of the directors need to respond to, we'll make sure that get followed back up on. But today only Matt will be doing the presentation, since the finance is one of the most, not the only, but one of the most crucial parts of any organization. I wanted Matt to be here to ensure that we present that. But before he begins, I just want to say a couple more things. Today we had a groundbreaking, and it was a great experience to have that groundbreaking, Haven at Marketplace. We had a number of great representatives out there. Staff was there to support. I mean, that project was a long time coming. And I signed probably 600 sheets, and our attorney said I got to sign some more after this board meeting. But, you know, everybody has a role, and it's important that we get it done. I want to say thank you for the board and all the work they've done for that development. And as a team, the development decided to our development team decided to make sure all our board members had something to remember this year, because we had 2 major closings, and together that's over $50 million in over 200 units of affordable housing. The work that you're doing as board members are amazing, and together our developers and our team decided that we want to have you guys receive a keepsake, because this is a special year when you can make 2 major closings like that. So with Bristol Place and Haven started, I want to say congratulations and thank you for all your hard work and dedication.
Thank you. Are these functional? Because I got some work to do in my front yard, so I was hoping I could use it.
Now, disclaimer: if you have back issues, it's small. But you know, it takes a team, it takes a village to really make this happen. And like, I'm thankful to be here as the director. I have an amazing team. John's here. John, can you come forward for a second for me? He didn't expect this. But John is the director of capital assets. He managed all our maintenance, and he made sure all our developments happen. I mean, he's a person that I call quite a bit, and he's always been there for me. And you know, I've only known him since April, but you know, a lot of times only the executives, the mayors, and the board members get things. But we want to make sure you have something for all your work that you put into this project. To move on, we have a couple of last items. We have an Employee of the Month program, and at the end of the year, we have Employee of the Year. When we go into closed session, the board members have the information related to all our employees of the month, and we'll discuss in a board will vote on who's the Employee of the Year for the Housing Authority of Champaign County. Our December Employee of the Month was, unfortunately, he wasn't able to be here because he left earlier for vacation, but he works in Matt's department in Miguel. And so I'll let Matt say a few words about Miguel. I don't want him to miss out on the chance of the board members hearing about him, even though he's not here. But I can guarantee you that Miguel's an amazing staff person. He's a great team player. He does a lot of work, extra work. One of the things that we started as I came into the organization is the Employee Activities Committee, and Miguel represented the County Department of Housing Authority at a number of those events. And so with his work around the organization and his day-to-day help, you know, he was recognized by his peers as Employee of the Month. So if you mind stepping forward, Matt, and say a couple words on behalf of Miguel, please.
Sure. Yeah, Miguel came on beginning of January 2018, so he's been around for almost a year, and he's a skilled accountant, very knowledgeable. But I think what makes him stand out, especially among his other employees and clients, is that he is a very friendly, always has a smile, is always willing to help. I've never seen him in a sour mood. You know, sometimes things get busy, things can be frustrating, but he has a great attitude that he brings to the workplace, and that I think helps within our department and our housing authority and in the community. He's also involved in being out there and involved representing the housing authority. So Miguel's been a great asset and pleasure to work with.
Thanks a lot. We had our final staff meeting, all staff meeting, and provided us a great deal of information. We had 2 commissioners that came to represent the board there. Our chairman and then our commissioner, Linda Turnbull, came out. We had lunch at the end of that meeting that Cindy Herrera and Associates sponsored the lunch for the organization. So it was a great time where the staff was able to get together, hear our success over the years as an organization, break bread and enjoy each other as we end this year and prepare for my next statement is that the move. The board members and most of the community members should have information about the move. It's on our website, and we sent cards already, or we will be sending cards out. They already been sent out to all our community partners, informing them about the move. So that's underway, and excuse us for our dust because there's a lot going on right now related to that move. Yeah, it happens fast. In your packet also, you see a letter from Senator Durbin where our organization reached out and discussed opportunities around our funding, our fiscal year 2019 on transportation, and the T-HUD bill is what it's called. It's important that we get full funding, and our organization is at the table talking to our legislators to ensure that we're represented in our community in the right way. So he responded to us in writing. I was offered by the University of Illinois, and I accepted to come be a part of a panel called Resilient Urban Features, where they'll be hosting 2 days here in February. We'll get more information out to the board members. That's in the packet also. And that's talking about urbanism and how housing is just one component of it, but we'll be representing housing in that way to ensure that our voice is heard. And so I'm excited about that opportunity from University of Illinois. They're bringing out a lot of scholars, and they invited me. I'm not saying I'm a scholar, but you know, this is my profession. So I appreciate if any board members would like to come out and support, and I know a few staff members plan to come out, and that's February 21st and 22nd. And lastly, we mentioned before that Department of Homeland Security was changing some policies around the public charge, direct correlation to immigration. And so I was asked to chair a committee from the Public Housing Authorities Directors Association out of Washington, where I sit as the VP now, on that. So they asked different organizations in different communities to make response to the Department of Homeland Security related to it. I won't go over the paperwork, but I provided what we sent in to the Department of Homeland Security related to housing and the representation. So we talked to a number of people in the community, and some of the staff members also gave their input, and so I appreciate for everybody that provided that. You know, unless you guys have any other questions of me, Ian, and allow Matt to come up and talk financial information.
Okay, I will keep this brief. So just the cash disbursements for the month of November, see about 570,000, and then the detailed check listing report after that. Just a couple of larger items we have for the month. Building Systems in Illinois, they're the ones doing the RAD renovations, and they're also the ones doing the renovation on a new office and the addition on there. So we had some larger amounts for that. We also had a larger amount for City of Champaign, $27,000, and it was for build permit fees for Haven Marketplace. We also had to Urbana and Champaign Sanitary District about $95,000 for sanitary permit fees, also related to Haven Marketplace. And then just the last item to highlight is we paid an amount, Champaign County Treasurer, $55,880, and that was for our pilot for the year. Payment in lieu of taxes. We don't pay real estate taxes on properties the Housing Authority owns or has a related entity ownership, and so we paid that based on the tenant rent plus the utilities. So that determines how much we have to pay in pilot. That's it.
Anybody have any questions of Matt? None? We need a motion to approve the financial report.
I'll move approval of financial reports for November of 2018.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Lewis.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose.
Yes.
Rebecca Obachowski.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Adair.
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull.
Yes.
Commissioner Chenoweth.
Next on the agenda is public comment on non-agenda items. Pat?
Thank
Esther?
you. My name is Esther Pat. I'm the director of the Champaign Urbana Tenant Union at 44 Main Street in Champaign. And we hear from a lot of people who are housing authority clients. I think mostly it's referrals. And there is a general theme that is very frustrating to me that seems to come up in almost every single referral we get. And that is that the realities of landlord-tenant law and the housing market do not seem to be well integrated into housing authorities' policies and procedures. And so people get into these situations that would be different if your policies were different. A biggie is whenever anyone calls us about repair problems the landlord's not taking care of in Champaign, Urbana, Rantoul, or Savoy, one option is a housing inspector. A lot of times getting a municipal inspection will do the trick. It is against the law in Illinois for a landlord to retaliate against the tenant for requesting an inspection. But if a tenant is a month-to-month tenant, a landlord has the right to terminate for no cause. Therefore, if a landlord exercises their right to terminate a month-to-month tenancy with no cause. Coincidentally, soon after a city inspection, it's not a retaliatory eviction. Almost every single housing authority client I've talked to in the last 3 years has had a month-to-month tenancy. And I asked them how it happens. And from their perspective, it's as though the housing authority requires it. Now, the housing authority does not require it.
No.
No. Used to be housing authority required year to year, and it had to be at 12-month basis. Everyone had to. I think it's great for all tenants, vouchers or no vouchers, unless you are planning to relocate for a job or planning to buy a house in the next 3 or 4 months, you'd be a fool to choose a month-to-month tenancy over a year's lease because landlords can actually move willy-nilly. Well, there's nothing that resembles case management anymore in housing authority. For all I know, people don't even realize that they can and should ask for a 12-month lease. They get the 12-month lease for the first year on the voucher, and then after that it goes month to month. And that's how it happen. Everyone thinks housing center. Now, I haven't asked the specific question, but I'll bet if I ask Mr. Northern, he'd say, we don't require that, because you don't. I know you don't require it. It's just that there's no intervention on that level. There's nothing in your philosophy to promote 12-month leases, protect tenants month to month, threatens housing stability for little children. Don't go month to month unless you have no other choice. And related to that, the other thing, this is my big frustration this week, which Mr. Northern knows well about, and I talked to the tenant about this case, but things like this keep coming up. There's a lot of substandard housing out there. This is your best argument in favor of project-based vouchers. Is you got these people out who have choices of where to live, but they keep finding places where the landlord won't do repairs. What can you do for them? And all right now, housing authority does for you is pull the voucher and tell them to move and give them a new voucher for someplace else. And the thing what's missing, the big piece that's missing is if you give the landlord till October 31st to do the repairs, and then they don't do the repairs on the 31st, so you pull the voucher, where's the tenant gonna go? They have to live there in November, and if they do not pay rent, and housing authority's not gonna pay the rent November 1st because you pulled the voucher, but they still need a place to live until they can get the new place, and while they're living there, if they don't pay the November rent, then the landlord is gonna evict them. Now, I say go ahead and pay the November rent because you owe it, and you're probably not gonna get out in less than a month, but it depends. Then when they start looking for a place, two things they're up against. One, City of Urbana constructively evicted tenants because of, just last month, because of the landlord didn't pay rental registration fee, fines because they hadn't done repairs. Same thing, repair problem with the landlord not doing repairs. And the tenant, they were supposed to be out November 26th, and she got a landlord who would rent to her December 1st. But housing authority wasn't going to be able to do the inspection before December 1st. All right, if they can do the inspection December 8th, it doesn't matter because housing will only start leases on the 1st or the 15th. So when I last talked to the woman, she's waiting to move in on the 15th. She's lucky that she didn't lose the apartment altogether. That the guy, or there was a house actually. Then the landlord says, hey, I'm willing to sign with you now for December 1st. You want me to wait 2 weeks? I'm going to rent to someone else. To the best of my knowledge, I haven't spoken to her this week. That has not happened to her yet. But still, she has to wait. And each day she's waiting, she's in deep, hot water with her current landlord. And that's really the thing I would like you folks to try to figure out. How can you prevent that? The situation with a tenant, it's what happens between when you decide to pull the voucher and when you will approve her new place. And part of it is her finding it, but in that gap period, people they're vulnerable to a lawsuit they're going to lose, which is what ruins their credit and then makes it hard to get someone else to rent to them, or in some cases actually being kicked out beforehand. And it's not an easy solution, but I think that's not even in the formula of how housing authority approaches these things. It's you just tell the person, we're pulling the voucher, and then tell them to call me. I can't do anything about it. And finally, this most recent one was so stupid I can't stand it. Yeah, I think it's Town Center's fault, not yours, but Town Center and Housing Authority got into something over the tenant had to have an emergency move on the 27th of September, but the HAP contract has to start the 1st of October, and I don't know if Town Center wouldn't sign for October 1st, they want it to be the 27th, and Housing wouldn't for the 27th. Anyway, someone there just got testy and refused to do anything. So in the end, again, the tenant has to move. It drives me crazy. 5 years, a woman with 3 kids has been living there, and housing's been paying the voucher every month, but because she moved from one apartment to another, then this whole bureaucracy takes into place. And again, if the person had been referred to me October 1st, I'm not a magician, maybe I couldn't get Town Center to sign either, but Housing Authority sent them emails and they ignored the emails. If the person had had a case manager at Housing Authority, who maybe could have called Town Center and pushed and said, we're paying the rent, we'll keep paying rent, just sign the paper, maybe it would have happened. But by the time it got referred to me, I talked to Tamika, I said, if I go over there right now and get them to sign it. She said, it's too late, the deadline's over, it was November 30th. So something needed to happen on the housing authority end before November 30th to try to either prevent this from happening or if town center is just being ridiculous. I don't understand because there are so many, you have so many clients there, but if they were, something to be done with the clients, so she was already in the process of looking for another place, etc., so we wouldn't have this gap between when you all stop paying and when they can get into a new place. And I don't know that you are aware of this or thought of it, but that's why I came to tell you this today, because it really is a problem. And the other thing, which is I didn't talk to you about this, Danielle, but this month-to-month tenancy thing is just really, I mean, it doesn't matter who you were. If you were, I mean, the income levels of those of you who are homeowners, if you were to decide to rent, I'd still say, unless you don't mind having to move on a month's notice, get a 12-month lease. And I really wish you folks would push it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who have public comment on non-agenda items? If not, is there a need for a closed session?
There is. There's a couple of brief things dealing with employment matters and with probable litigation. Should be quick for that.
Okay. Need a motion to go into closed session, and if no items to be taken,
Nope,
to adjourn. And if no items to be taken,
I make a motion that we go into closed session and no items.
Action. No action.
Expounded on.
There's a motion to go into closed session, and if there's no action to be taken, to adjourn. Do we have a
Second.
roll call?
Chairman Lewis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose,
Yes.
Commissioner Obachowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Adair,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnbull, Commissioner Chenoweth.
Yes.